Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Slim Quisado and today I will be your presenter as I'm going to present with you the topic which is entitled The Political and Economic Challenges of English Language Educations in Hong Kong. But before that, let me have a quick introduction as why I made this template or design for my presentation. So this presentation is inspired with Mobile Legend game RPG game which is I'm really into it and without further ado let's hit it.
Welcome to Mobile Legends!
So before we proceed with our discussions, go deeper with our discussions, let's have a quick introductions again. So this is a chapter 30, the political and economic challenges of English language education in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is now a leading international financial center which requires a high level of English proficiency on the part of the workforce. For decades, the territory's English language education system has worked to produce graduates who can function in English while also providing a well-rounded education to all students. So the extent of which decisions affecting language education have been based on political, economic, or educational principle has been widely investigated. Shifts in the political and economic landscapes had applied different pressures upon language educations and at different times. So these chapters describe the special language profiles of Hong Kong populations and some of the measures adopted to the government to raise English language standards. It then considers some of the implications for English language education of Hong Kong's return to Chinese rule and the increasing influence of the mainland upon the territory affairs. At an official level at least, the mainland authorities appear to appreciate the importance of English for Hong Kong's continued success and take pride in territory's educational achievements. In fact, the Hong Kong's continued prosperity, however, the mainland government has indicated that it will make every effort to create the conditions for Hong Kong's continued prosperity. However, in return, they would welcome a greater sense of national identity. At a time when Hong Kong's political future is linked with uncertainty, the prospect for English language education remain good, provide Hong Kong and the mainland language expert can develop a deeper understanding to their perspective, values, and expectations. So that was the introductions, brief introductions of this political and economic challenges of English language education in Hong Kong, chapter 30. Again, I'm Slim Quisado. And next we have the English is only official language. So Chinese became the second official language as recently as 1974. So for Scholar for Applied Linguistics and Language Education, Hong Kong relationship with English has proved to be an almost irresistible topic for several decades. There can be few places in the world where the story of English is quite as exciting. During the latter part of the Hong Kong's colonial period in 1841 to 1907, in the years of the following the return of sovereignty from UK and China in 1997, the territory's official language education policy underwent constant and dramatic changes. So in the days when the territory was still relatively small, English was the only official language and Chinese became the second official language as recently as 1974, at a time when Hong Kong's economy started to reduce its resilience of manufacturing and began to establish itself as an international commercial center. So, according to, in 1970s, the 1970s also saw the introductions of compulsory education for 9 years and a massive expansion of the school populations, many of whom were recent immigrants from mainland China who found it difficult to cope with the prevailing English medium education system. So the extent to which decisions affecting language education have been based on political, economic, or educational principle has been the subject of the volumes of research. So rapid shifts in both the political and economic landscape have applied different pressures upon language education at different times. So according to Deng Xiaoping, so while the twists and turns of Hong Kong's language educations during the colonial period and immediately afterwards have been studied extensively by scholars, history may not be a good indicator of future directions in the case of Hong Kong. So the territory's entire system of governance faces challenges in the one country, two system formula. It was proposed by Deng Xiaoping and introduced at the handover sovereignty in 1997. So heads towards its legal expiry in 2046. So in the meantime, in theory at least, Hong Kong is guaranteed high levels of autonomy in running its own affairs. However, there is widespread acceptance in Hong Kong that China's influence will become increasingly strong in the coming years. So it is reasonable to assume that language education's policy in Hong Kong will be directly influenced by the new master, which is China. So all in all, this chapter will talk about to assess the impact of political and economic changes upon the futures of English language education in the territory. It begins with a brief descriptions of the language profile of the population, then lists some of the key milestones in the evolutions of the English language education policy. The remainder of the chapter speculates in the light of recent political developments about the challenges that lie ahead for English language education. And next is we have, so it may be helpful to provide a brief account of Hong Kong's population and the main policy shift and measures undertaken by the government to promote English language education. So Hong Kong's viability in the commercial world is largely dependent on its positioning as a knowledge-based international business community. In pursuit of this goal, the Hong Kong government has undertaken to develop a trilingual, bilingual society which recognizes the commensurability of spoken Cantonese, Standard Mandarin or Putonghua, and English and written Standard Chinese and English. So the legal basis of this linguistic formula is enshrined in the Basic Law, which is during the 1990s, which states that both Chinese and English may be used as an official language according to the Basic Law in 1990. So the populations of the territory is about 7 million, approximately 95% are ethnic Chinese, and most of whom immigrant from China's Guangdong province, and the remaining is 5% came from places like South Asia, East Asia, Europe, North America, Australia. So this info is according to Census and Statistics Department 2011. So Cantonese is the first language of the majority of Chinese inhabitants in Hong Kong, who are also able to speak Putonghua or Mandarin. So the national language of China with some degree of proficiency. So Cantonese is the first language of the majority of Chinese inhabitants in Hong Kong. So nowadays, Hong Kong is one of the world's foremost international financial centers, and the widespread use of English language is an essential element of the territory's success. And next we have 90% of its citizens are native speakers of Chinese. So, however, given the linguistic markup of its population, which is 95% of the citizens who are native speakers of Chinese, so producing and maintaining a workforce which is functional in English represents one of the greatest challenges for the education system. So while English is studied as a compulsory subject at school and university, most Hong Kongers do not use English in their everyday lives. So according to Poon 2000, page 149 in his article, he said that observes English is used by the English-speaking Chinese in rather restrictive manner, only in domains of education, administrations, the judiciary, legislature, business, and the media, and saw them in daily social interactions among the Chinese. And also Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is essentially composed of two monolingual communities, the Chinese-speaking community and the English-speaking community, rather than a community of bilinguals according to Luke and Richards 1982. So there are linguistic characterizations of Hong Kong's population demonstrate that the English language skills of the economy need to be addressed by means of an effective language education system since English is not widely used by the community for everyday communications. So next is we have the major milestone in the shaping of the existing situation. So we have the medium of instructions fallacy. So the medium of instructions fallacy or MOI have tended to dominate discussions about language education, particularly in the secondary sector. So MOI fallacy has remained controversial and has undergone dramatic swings over the years. So English as a medium of instruction or EMI accepted as a logical step for a British foreign power building a school system in a small territory in the south of China. So according to Chan 2014, school will need some time to make optimal use of the new opportunities offered by fine-tuning so that all of their students benefit from it. It means that there appears to be no reason to conclude that future governments will cease to manipulate MOI policies granted for their political as well as educational considerations, supporting to Trump. And next we have the other significant measures. So according to Berry and Mackman 2005, characterized the way in which language policy has developed. So while these decisions about MOI have tended to be regarded as the main manifestations of language policy, it is worth noting that the government has also adopted a series of bold, top-down measures which, together with Hong Kong's traditional features, first economic principles, characterize the way in which language policy has developed. That's according to Berry and Martel. So measures intended to strengthen language proficiency have been announced in a number of annual policy addresses and in successions of education commission reports over the past 30 years. So this includes a reform of the primary curriculum intended to engage young pupils more actively in language use, and second, we also have the employment of a native English speakers to teach English in every primary and secondary school, and also to introduce of new public examinations format which includes spoken English in order to encourage teachers, and also to include speaking activities in their classes, and also the allocations of grants to university for language enhancement provision, and the launching of Workshop English campaign, the introduction of benchmark tests to assess the English language abilities of teachers, and also an initiative to refund examination fees for university students who take the International English Language Testing System. It is the test before graduation. So as what I've said, the measures were largely driven by concerns about falling standards of English and warnings about economic consequences for the territory if it is no longer able to produce a workforce that is able to function in English. There are also indicators of the high priority attached to language education in Hong Kong. However, the cost of ensuring the students leave school and university with high levels of English is considerable, and it would be logical to ask whether future governments will be willing and able to fund English language education to the same extent. And next is we have the positive statement from Beijing. So the positive statement from Beijing, for example, it's in 2014 white paper on the implementations of the one country two system arrangement states. So Hong Kong leads the Asia Pacific region in education, as the HKSAR government continues to increase its investment in education. So the biggest government expenditure item during the 2014 to 2015 fiscal year, the HKR government current budgetary spending on education reached most likely about $75.37 million billion. Mabid ako siya, no? So 2000 in the 2008 to 2009 school year, Hong Kong has implemented 12 years free education in public schools. So the University of Hong Kong and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology are among Asia's top 10 university according to the Times Higher Education's Asian University ranking on 2013. So Hong Kong continues to rank high in the global test of the Program for International Student Assessment of PISA 2012, which reflect the quality of primary education, according to Chinese State Council 2014. The Song Jie confirmed that safeguarding there would appear to be no criticism of the fact that education is the biggest item of the Hong Kong government expenditure. In fact, Zhong Xie, the commissioner of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China in Hong Kong, has confirmed that safeguarding and intended strengthening Hong Kong's position as a leading international city is still part of China's foreign policy. Efforts are made in Hong Kong's related foreign affairs to ensure its economic and social development, and to keep and lift its positions as a world financial, trade and shipping center, according to Song 2014. And next we have the political uncertainty. So, in the recent forced handover, events may shed some light upon the extent to which Hong Kong's language education policy will be subject to the political influence of the mainland. So, in 2003, massive public protest by Hong Kong people against national security legislation that the government was trying to posture succeeded in pressuring the government to shelve the plan indefinitely. So, the law known as Article 23 would have impinged on the freedoms of Hong Kong residents. So, if Article 23 had been approved, it would be ban any organization determined by China as a national security risk. So, all dissident groups, including human rights groups, democracy activists, Catholic and Falun Gong, as well as individuals would have been affected. So, many Hong Kongers regarded the law as a threat to territory's autonomy and the one country and two system principle, so under which basic human rights, in particular, freedom of speech, freedom of religion or beliefs, freedom of assembly, and peaceful demonstrations are all respected. So more recently, in 2012, public protest resulted in the government overturning a decision to introduce national education as a compulsory subject in the school curriculum. In the minds of many citizens, the proposal was considered to be brainwashing propaganda because it highlighted achievements such as China's spacecraft, high-speed railways, and the Olympics, while glossing over Tiananmen and the cultural revolutions. And next we have the national education proposal, both tens of thousands of Hong Kong people led by the school activist group Scholarism to the government headquarters each night for 2 weeks. So it is tempting to include from these two examples of citizens' protest that Hong Kong people will be able to safeguard important aspects of their autonomy, and that attempts to interfere with the local education policy can be resisted successfully. So, Hong Kong Basic Law, ratified by China and UK in 1984, stipulates that the elections of the fifth chief executive of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region in the year 2017 may be implemented with the method of universal suffrage. Yet, to the frustrations of many in Hong Kong, the framework mandates that any candidates running for chief executive has to be voted by a small committee dominated by a pro-Beijing supporters. So at the time of writing, the outcomes of the Occupy Central protest is still unclear. However, it is likely to provide some indications of Hong Kong's future autonomy, including the extent to which education policy should be regarded as a local or national issue. So before I end this one, let me just have a quick recap or conclusions of our discussions about this um, lecture or topic, which is chapter 30. So in conclusions, for me with this one, Hong Kong's return to the motherlands makes Hong Kongers proud of being their own masters. Why? Because it enables them to share with mainlanders the honor of being part from increasingly strong nations. So for over 17 years, the successful implementations of one country, two system in Hong Kong revealed one important thing. So Hong Kong's past was closely connected with the nation's destiny. So its futures will rely on the greatest rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. We firmly opposed any outside interference or involvement in Hong Kong's affairs in any way. So Hong Kong is now at a new starting point in its development. So to remain competitive in the world, fellow Hong Kongers need to work in synergy, strive forward, cherish and make good use of precious opportunities that came with the nation's comprehensive deepening of reform according to Song 2014. An international city whose success has been based on free markets and minimum government intervention. Some adjustment to the new master's expectations and style will be required. So both sides have much gain and much to lose if its important dialogue fail. And that will be all. Thank you. And again, I'm Winston Kisaru, and thank you for listening.
This is how legends are made.